The moment he pulled over on that empty highway, with twisted metal screaming under the sun and a broken police car bleeding glass onto the asphalt, he didn't know this single act of humanity would cost him everything he had built for 10 long years. All he knew was that a uniformed officer was injured, alone, and fading fast, and turning away was never an option for a man like him. Before the story pulls you deeper, take a second to pause. If you believe in kindness, in helping strangers, and in second chances when the world feels unfair, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel, Grandma Dearie. Your support keeps stories like this alive. He was an ordinary man with an ordinary life, the kind of person no one notices until they're gone. He worked at a logistics company, clocking in early, clocking out late, always dependable, always quiet. That morning he was already running late, the kind of late that makes your chest tight and your mind race with excuses you'll never use. Then he saw the crash. A police car crushed against a roadside barrier, windshield shattered like spiderwebs, smoke rising into the pale sky. Traffic had slowed but no one had stopped. People stared, people filmed, people drove on. He stopped. The officer inside was injured, her uniform torn, blood streaking her cheek, one arm hanging uselessly as she tried to stand and failed. He didn't think about liability, or his boss, or the meeting he would miss. He wrapped his arm around her, lifted her weight with shaking strength, and guided her away from the wreck as another car skidded past too close for comfort. He called for help, stayed with her, shielded her from the heat and the noise and the fear that comes when adrenaline fades. By the time the ambulance arrived, his shirt was soaked with sweat and her blood, and his phone buzzed endlessly in his pocket. When he finally checked it, the damage had already been done. Missed calls. Angry messages. A final cold text telling him not to bother coming in. No explanation mattered. No proof helped. His manager said rules were rules, absence was absence, and heroes don't pay the bills. Just like that, a decade of loyalty evaporated. He stood on the side of the road, watching the ambulance disappear, holding a job termination notice in his hand, wondering how doing the right thing could feel so devastatingly wrong. The days that followed were heavy and quiet. Savings drained faster than he expected. Rejection emails piled up. Friends told him he did the right thing, but those words didn't pay rent or buy groceries. At night, doubt crept in. Maybe he should have driven past like everyone else. Maybe kindness was a luxury for people who could afford it. Still, when he closed his eyes, he remembered the officer's weak grip on his arm, the relief in her eyes when she realized she wasn't alone. That memory kept him standing. What he didn't know was that the woman he saved was fighting her own battle. The accident had left her temporarily off duty, bruised, shaken, and angry at how close she had come to never seeing her family again. During recovery, she asked questions. Who was the man who stopped? Why did he leave so fast? When she finally learned his name and what it had cost him, something inside her shifted. She knew rules. She knew systems. And she knew silence was often the enemy of justice. Weeks later, when hope was thinning, his phone rang with an unfamiliar number. Soon after, his story began to move beyond that empty highway. It appeared in local conversations, then local media. Not exaggerated, not dramatic, just the truth. A man stopped to help. A man lost his job. A question echoed through the community: when did compassion become a punishable offense? The response was slow at first, then unstoppable. Messages of support flooded in. Strangers reached out. Small opportunities appeared, then bigger ones. But the real turning point came when the officer herself took a stand. She didn't speak with anger, but with clarity and gratitude, explaining how one man's courage saved her life and how the system had failed him in return. Her words carried weight because they were honest and human. The company that fired him faced pressure, questions they couldn't ignore. Policies were reviewed. Public apologies were made. But by then, something had already changed inside him. He realized his worth was not tied to one employer's approval. He had done something meaningful, something that mattered. And the world, slowly but surely, had noticed. An unexpected offer came from a different place, from people who valued integrity over convenience. It wasn't just a new job, it was a fresh start, one built on respect. The officer he helped walked again without pain. He worked again without shame. 2 lives, once broken in different ways, continued forward because one moment of courage refused to stay silent. Just before we reach the end, take a moment and comment below with a single word: kindness. Let it remind others scrolling by that humanity still exists. In a world that often rewards indifference and punishes compassion, this story stands as a quiet rebellion. It reminds us that doing the right thing may cost you at first, but it plants seeds you may never see grow, until one day, they change everything. If this story touched your heart, if it made you feel something real, please like this video, share it, and leave a heartfelt comment. Your engagement helps stories like this reach people who need hope the most. And don't forget to subscribe to Grandma Dearie. Because sometimes, one kind act is enough to rewrite an entire life.